Hello there, I'm Heidi Adams in for Esther Githui Hewitt. It is Tuesday, July 12th, and this is Africa 54.
Record drought in the Horn of Africa wipes out millions of livestock, leaving Somali livestock farmers struggling. How Lebanon's new hike in internet costs has migrant workers more vulnerable than ever. And did you know that your gut health impacts your overall well-being? We'll have a report.
And we begin in Mali, where authorities have detained 49 Ivorian soldiers who arrived in the country on Sunday. Malian officials accused the soldiers from neighboring Côte d'Ivoire of being mercenaries. Government spokesperson Abdoulaye Maiga says the soldiers were armed, carried ammunition and had no mission order or authorization, adding that the soldiers had the, quote, dark aim of stopping the protection and reform of Mali and its return to a constitutional order.
Le gouvernement de la transition informe l'opinion nationale et internationale que le dimanche 10 juillet 2022.
The transition government informs the national and international public that on Sunday, July 10th, between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., 2 aircrafts from the Republic of Ivory Coast carrying 49 Ivorian military personnel with their weapons and munitions of war, as well as other military equipment, landed at the President Modibo Keïta Senou International Airport. In view of these failures and infractions committed in the context of the deployment of these 49 Ivorian soldiers, the transitional government considers them to be mercenaries, as defined by the OAU Convention on the Elimination of Mercenarism in Africa. The intent of these arrested was clearly to break the dynamic of rebuilding and securing Mali.
Now, an Ivorian diplomat previously said that some of the soldiers had been sent to join the United Nations peacekeeping mission. The force says it believed they were part of a unit that provided routine logistical support to the Ivorian military contingent of MINUSMA. MINUSMA spokesman Olivier Salgado says the transfer of the troops would have been notified to the Malian authorities in advance. Now, for more insight into the situation in Mali, I'm joined now by VOA Bambara News Service Chief Bagasi Kura. Bagasi, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you.
So please help break this down for us. What exactly is behind these Ivorian soldiers arriving in Mali? What is so unusual about it anyway?
Everybody was surprised to hear that two planes carrying 49 troops landed on Sunday in Bamako with the weapon and ammunition, and then the news was broke on social media, not by the government. For 24 hours, the government just sit back, and the paperwork from the airport were all leaked in social media. And then we learned that these are people who came into the country to destabilize the transitional government. So what is surprising is that the government came out forcefully yesterday calling them mercenary. What we know is that these Ivorian soldiers, it's not the first time they go into the country. They usually come in and work for a contracting company working for the UN. But from what has transpired, it looked like they didn't have all the paperwork correctly done. So there must have been some administrative glitch that is being exaggerated here, and people calling it, an attempted coup, which is will be a big surprise that people will land at the airport with, with a gun and everything to do a coup.
Right, 2 planes landing with soldiers can be that much of a surprise,
So if we have this sort of confusion because it was rumors on social media for 24 hours before Mali spoke, the UN has not said anything beside the tweet from Olivier Salgado, the spokesperson yesterday, saying that these are not UN troops, but they are working for UN contractor, and Ivory Coast up to now is still quiet. Probably people are working behind the scene to solve this.
Right, we've got about a minute. I just want to ask you quickly. So this comes on the heels of ECOWAS lifting sanctions against Mali, saying it's going to accept that 2024 deadline for the military to hand over power to a civilian rule. Is there a link between that and what happened here today?
It's not clear because for a very long time people have blamed Ivorian president of being the president who was leading for the sanction on Mali. So he's not well liked in Bamako. So this is leading to this type of tension. We don't know where it will lead because you have like 5 million Malians living in Ivory Coast. And if it's not solved quickly, it can, get worse.
Well, Bagasi, we're going to keep an eye on this situation. Thank you very much for your time. And that was Bagasi Kura. He is the chief of VOA's Bambara News Service. Well, moving to southern Africa now, as a massive manhunt continues Tuesday for gunmen who attacked and killed 15 people in a bar in Soweto, South African officials are promising justice and more security for a grieving and stunned community. David Doyle has more.
Police are hunting 5 gunmen who burst into a bar in Soweto and killed 15 customers in a hail of bullets, South Africa's police minister has said. Becky Ele described the incident in the early hours of Sunday morning as such a brutality. He said the high number of rounds forensics teams found at the scene meant the killers would have had to reload in the middle of the slaughter.
There were about plus 130 empty cartridges of AK-47, which means those people that were there were really meant business of killing.
9 people were also wounded in the attack in the Johannesburg Township's Orlando East neighborhood. LA said police did not yet know the motive, but that he guaranteed the assailants would be found. South Africa has one of the world's highest murder rates. Nevertheless, the shooting and 2 others at the weekend have shocked the nation. Police say 4 people were killed at a tavern in Pietermaritzburg late on Saturday, and 2 more during a suspected robbery at another bar in Katlehong, outside Johannesburg. The 3 attacks, which are not believed to be linked, have unleashed anger at the police for failing to tackle high levels of violent crime. LA pledged extra officers in Orlando East for door-to-door searches and more police vehicles. This was resident Andiswa Nyambane's response.
We'll see by their actions because we no longer believe what they say.
Around 20,000 people are murdered in South Africa every year, out of a population of about 60 million. Campaign group Gun Free South Africa says there are around 3 million guns registered in the country, with many more thought to be circulating on the black market.
Well, David Doyle of Reuters filed that report for us. Somalia is normally a top exporter of livestock to the Middle East, especially during the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Adha. But a record drought in the Horn of Africa has wiped out millions of livestock, leaving Somali livestock farmers struggling, some forced to live in camps for displaced people. Mohammed Sheikh Noor reports from Mogadishu.
In one of Somalia's largest livestock markets, located just outside Mogadishu, sales have stagnated during one of the busiest times of the year, Eid al-Adha. Muslims celebrate the holiday in July with 3 consecutive days of mass slaughtering. But this year, prices are too high for money to buy an animal to celebrate the holiday. Mohammed Abdi says he came here to buy a goat but cannot afford it.
Since I was among those who came to this market this morning to buy animals for Eid al-Adha, the things we planned and the prices we intended to buy something are quite different because the prices are higher than ours.
Experts blame inflation and a drought that has killed millions of animals in the Horn of Africa. Elsewhere, Marche Selasso waits with others to receive meat at a camp for internally displaced people. The father of three, who also cares for his aging mother, used to own his own herd of livestock in the lower Shabelle region of Somalia.
I owned a herd of animals, but all of them died in the drought. And the drought has forced me to live in this IDP camp. And as you see today, I have nothing left of my belongings. Please help me.
The drought has had an impact on inflation, holiday activities, and livestock sales and exports, according to Hassan Ise, an advisor with Somalia's humanitarian ministry.
As a result of the drought, nearly 700,000 Somali animals, including camels, cows, and goats, died. They had lost their livestock, which provided them with an economic backbone, such as milk, so they had to move.
In his Eid al-Adha message to worshippers, President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud had this message to Somalis.
I urge my Somali brothers, help your brothers who are in dire situation. Help your neighbors, the poor and the affected families, no matter how much or how little.
Marche Salatho and other Somali livestock farmers who once had comfortable lives now live in abject poverty and, like many other Somalis, live with an uncertain future. Mohammed Sheikh Noor for VOA News, Mogadishu, Somalia.
Well, now to a fascinating story. Four-time British Olympic gold medalist Mo Farah is winning praise after revealing shocking news in a BBC documentary that he was illegally trafficked as a child to the country and forced to work there in domestic servitude. Farah says he came from Djibouti at age 8 or 9 with a woman he had never met, was given a false identity and then made to look after another family's children. Farah says he was born in Somaliland as Hussein Abdikain. He says his father was killed in the civil war and he was separated from his mother. Farah says he thought he was going to Europe to live with relatives and recalled going through a British passport check under the guise of Muhammad Farah. Farah was recognized as a British citizen in 2000. Getting COVID-19 vaccines to remote parts of Kenya at the correct temperature is just one of the challenges facing the country's vaccination program. But a new solar-powered mobile health unit is now helping deliver vaccines to smaller towns and villages in Kenya. Health workers are reporting a boost in shots as they take the vaccine directly to people who cannot travel long distances to a hospital. Parked in the Kasarani region of Nairobi is a group of health workers who are on a mission to drive up COVID-19 vaccinations. The overall trend of the virus on the African continent is down, but it is still not completely contained.
So in general, this is a mobile vaccine vaccination unit, which then means we are going to the people. If the people are unable to go get the vaccine at health facilities, we are coming to the people. Want to increase our population coverage for vaccination, looking at what has been recommended by WHO at the 70% achievement for vaccination. And so this particular unit has utilized the innovations. It can be able to go deeper into the communities where access is a problem. So not only in Nairobi, even in other counties where we have issues for access. And also because it utilizes solar to maintain the cold chain, then it is an efficient way of ensuring that we have effective vaccines.
Now, the African Medical and Research Foundation is taking the battle to the streets, hoping to increase the number of people getting immunized. Lebanon's economic meltdown has left its migrant workers more vulnerable than ever. They are struggling to keep up with a new hike in internet costs, and that could put their work and even personal safety in jeopardy. Lucy Fielder explains.
Kenyan cleaner Noel Musanga survived Beirut's port blast and waves of lockdowns. But now her internet provider, amid Lebanon's economic meltdown, has announced rates will double. A freelance migrant worker who barely earns enough to survive, Musanga fears her last lifeline to family and work could snap. Working in Lebanon is becoming untenable for her and many others, she says.
Lebanon now, if you continue sitting here, you are wasting your time, you are wasting your energy, and nothing positive is coming out. Because maybe you are doing like part-time jobs. So you'll be spending it on the internet, buying foodstuffs, paying the house rent, the generator, because everything is expensive and you'll have nothing to save for yourself or to send for your family. So it's better to go home and find another way of living.
Lebanon hosts about 250,000 migrant workers, mostly from sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia, according to the United Nations. Employers have excessive control over their lives under Lebanon's kafala sponsorship system, rights groups say, and abuse of migrant workers in Lebanon is well documented. Without the internet, victims may struggle to seek help, activists say. Lebanon's 3-year financial crisis has left them even more vulnerable. Many were abandoned by their employers as their monthly wages, between $150 and $400, became too expensive. Lebanon's currency has lost 95% of its value, while food and public transport costs have risen roughly 11-fold. Freelance work, cleaning or nannying to pay the bills, has become harder by the day, and workers can't afford to be out of reach. Ethiopian activist Sigareda Berhanu.
Most of the people use WhatsApp, so if they don't have internet, they will lose their job, they will lose their connection with employers. So it's really important to have internet for job and to communicate with their family.
Until this month, Lebanon's telecom sector had stuck with the government's old currency peg of 1,500 Lebanese pounds to the dollar. Rising fuel costs for transmitters, among other factors, have now prompted the adoption of a more flexible government rate. One digital rights group says that could make bills for phone calls and internet up to 4 times more expensive.
And that was Lucy Fielder of Reuters reporting. Well, now, we're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54 and all our VOA Africa programs on our website at voaafrica.com. And be sure to join us Wednesday for Paul Ndio's Technology Report. Well, still to come here on Africa 54, reviving marine life off Senegal's coast. But first, here's what's coming up on Wednesday's Straight Talk Africa. On the next Straight Talk Africa, as British Prime Minister Boris Johnson prepares to leave office soon, what does his departure mean for UK-Africa relations? On Johnson's watch, 2 African countries joined the British Commonwealth of Nations, even as he faced criticism over racist remarks, Brexit, and his controversial UK-Rwanda deportation policy. We'll look at Johnson's mixed record and legacy in Africa. We'll also discuss US-Africa trade relations as political and business leaders from Africa and the United States prepare to meet in Morocco for the US-Africa Business Summit. Join me, Heidi Adams, on the next Straight Talk Africa. Well, let's take a look now at other stories making the news. The Nigerian army is denying any plans to stage a coup against the administration of Muhammadu Buhari as it reacts to public outcry from frustrated citizens about the deteriorating insecurity in the country. 7 people were killed and 2 injured in an explosion in northern Togo, according to the army. The victims of Saturday's blast were all between 14 and 18 years old. And Niger and Benin have formed a new military alliance to confront heightened terror threats within communities near their common borders. Well, it's time now for our health segment, and joining us now here on Africa 54 is health correspondent Lenore Madu with the latest on the health of your gut. We are all ears. Hello, Lenore.
That's right, Haiti. Hello. Well, experts say the bacteria in your gut affects everything from digestion to mental health. The gut relies on the right balance of good bacteria for digestion and to prevent infection and inflammation. According to the U.S. National Institute of Health, gut bacteria supply essential nutrients and aid in the digestion of cellulose and promote enteric nerve function. People can experience health problems, including inflammatory bowel disease, obesity, and cancer when changes occur in the gut. For more insight, I spoke with Dr. Ken Redcross, an internal medicine specialist, concierge doctor, and author.
We call the gut the second brain because it actually is. We all know serotonin, right? Serotonin is a neurotransmitter in our brain, but guess what? It's primarily made in the gut. So that's that gut-brain axis, as well as our immune cells. Most of our immune cells also come from the gut.
When it comes to gut health, what should we be mindful of?
The microbiome. That is the importance of making sure that we have the good bacteria in our gut so that we can fight off that bad bacteria that tries to enter each and every day. When you think about the microbiome, that's the entire collection of the bacteria that we have in our gut or in our bodies. There are some foods that can be of benefit, but it's also important that you really understand a good probiotic. As you're learning more about probiotics and why we all should have one, let's recognize that there are some foods that we can utilize, but we usually need some sort of supplementation to really keep it robust. Probiotics tend to be a lot of the ones that are already there, such as yogurts. But there's ways to make sure that you're incorporating all these into your diet and avoiding those things that make it worse, such as red meat. Red meat is not great for our microbiome. Make sure if you're getting the red meat that it's at least lean so that you're not creating that reaction that's affecting your microbiome. Also, be careful of fried foods, whether that's fried fish, fried chicken. It's about that oil laying down on that beautiful microbiome that's fighting that bacteria. Can you imagine fighting something with oil all on your back and your head? And so you're not going to win that battle. Also, be careful with alcohol and also antibiotics. Now, when you're seeing your doctor, you get that antibiotic for something that's necessary. You want to chase that with a probiotic as well to make sure that you're reseeding your gut with all of that good bacteria.
What foods are best for the gut in a general sense?
Some of the foods that we eat, we can eat each and every day that are prebiotics. The prebiotics are really pretty much food for the probiotics. Bananas. Bananas have inulin, which is a great fiber. It's a fiber that our body doesn't digest, but the bacteria in our gut loves it. Fermented foods are fabulous. Sauerkraut is a big one. I also like kimchi. Grains, barley, rye, wheat, those things are very beneficial. Also think about things such as nuts. These are things that we take into our bodies. They don't fully digest, but it stays there as food for that probiotics. Make sure you're educating yourself. Probiotics.com is right there for all of us. Send questions. I love answering questions.
Talk to us about supplements because people use it, and the right supplement to get the right amount of probiotics. What should we do?
Take in some of those foods that we've talked about, and then think about learning about a good probiotic that can help support that as well. Think about it as balance. Think about how you can get it in your diet and balance it out with a really good probiotic as well.
Is it true that sleeping is important for the gut? To what extent are the two related?
Super, super duper true. Sleep is intimately associated with our immune system. Most of our immune system is created and housed in our gut. One sleepless night can throw off your immune system. Sleep is important because we're supposed to be getting 7.5 hours each day. And once again, those immune cells, everyone, end up creating histamines and things that we hear about all the time with allergies. So when you have the right probiotic that can kind of stamp that out, or the right combination, it makes a difference.
So what are the main takeaways?
Food is medicine. So there are some things that we can do by bringing in food that is medicine, and there's some things that we can do to keep it away. You're likely going to require a balance. You can't eat enough bananas and enough sauerkraut. I don't care how much you love it. You can't eat enough of them. So make sure that you get a good probiotic. Let's make sure that now we all are armed with something brand new to keep us healthy and to keep us whole.
Dr. Redcross, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Medical experts say symptoms of unhealthy gut include upset stomach, tiredness, trouble sleeping, migraines, and frequent mood changes. Adding the right probiotics, exercising regularly, and reducing stress can help improve gut health and overall well-being. That's our health report for today. To stay in touch, find me on Twitter at Lenore Moudou. Heidi, I hope you take care of that gut of yours.
Well, my gut is telling me that I lead an incredibly unhealthy life. But Lenore, thank you very much. Be sure to watch Lenore Moudou's health reports each Tuesday here on Africa 54. A Senegalese non-governmental organization has covered an area of ocean floor with a concrete sculpture designed to revive marine life and raise awareness about desertification and plastic pollution. Clara Frank has the details.
Beneath the waves of Dakar's coast lies one of Senegal's newest museums. The unusual silhouettes emerging in the underwater gloom are sculptures. Made from ecological concrete, they're designed to restore marine life in an area that suffered from overfishing. The pieces, donated by artists at the end of last year, are also intended to raise awareness around ocean desertification and plastic pollution. Rodouane Eli Ali is the director at the Oceanium Diving Center, the Senegalese NGO that created the underwater museum.
So we will have micro seaweeds that will cling to them, fish that will eat these algae, crustaceans and so on. The fish that were on the rock will move to this art piece and then to that one, and eventually the fish that were there will move to there. The bigger the museum gets, the more small fish it will attract. And then the more small fish come, the more big fish will come.
That would be good news for artisanal fishermen like Blaise Mbengwe. A short distance from Oceanium's museum, he's hauling in today's catch. But he says they've only caught 7 kilos, which will sell for around $3 per kilo. Effectively, he said, they've earned nothing. Mbengwe blames industrial fishing.
Our government grants a lot of fishing licenses. Where we used to find fish, we find trawlers. 20 kilometres off our coast, where we used to fish, there are now boats that spread their big nets. The tuna that we used to catch and other species are caught by the trawlers. We don't have much left.
Once among the richest in the world, experts say the West Africa fish stocks are being depleted to feed European and Asian markets. That poses a threat to livelihoods and food security. World Bank data says some 600,000 people, almost 20% of Senegal's workforce, are employed in fishing. Their hauls account for 75% of the country's animal protein intake. But Mbengwe says when he goes to the sea now, he loses more than he gains. It's hoped that initiatives like the Underwater Museum can help breathe life back into the ocean. Clara Frank, VOA News.
And that is our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.